Okay, this part is all about mastering your mindset when it comes to the prices for your herbal products and services. So, this is like such an important step in this entire process because I think it's a common struggle that herbalists have is really asking to be paid for what you do, but understanding the value of what you offer as an herbalist and really being able to put a price on it and ask your customers to pay that with confidence is an essential part of running an herbal business. So in this session, we are really just going to set the scene and start to understand some of the core concepts for profitable pricing for your herbal business. The first thing that I really think is important to cover is to be 100% clear whether you are running your herbal business as a business or an hobby. Because it is actually okay to practice herbalism as an hobby. You don't need to turn it into a business if you don't want to. But if your intention is to create a business, you need to approach your pricing in a way that is profitable and is sustainable, because otherwise you don't have a business, you have a hobby. And so there are many things that you need to account for to make sure that you are actually having profits in there. And so for that reason, we're going to get into the different calculations and stuff further into the other lessons, but just really do consider what your business is. So for a business, if you have an herbal business, profit is essential. You need to be making money to have a sustainable business. If you're not making money, if you're basically just making back your costs, if you're not valuing your time and not being paid for your time that you're putting into your business, you don't really have a business. It's just a way of making up your costs. You have maybe a profitable hobby, a cross between that business and hobby, but it's not a real business until you do actually, you are prioritizing those profits. And so the way we need to do that is we need to build strategic pricing into your business from the very beginning. So this is where you start to think about how much your products are costing you to make, how much time goes into them, how much your customers are willing to pay, and how to balance all of those factors in together to create prices for your products and services. And I also wanted to point out here something that is very interesting to note is that pricing is actually a key component of product marketing. And so it actually changes the perception of how customers see your products or services. And it's one of the factors that influence the way people see your products. And I'm sure you've experienced this as a consumer when maybe you don't actually know much about a certain product, or so for me, for example, if I went into a jewelry store, I can't actually tell the difference between quality diamonds and less quality, or what carat they are. And so I would base my perception of which ones are best on the pricing. So if I see one that's worth $10,000 and one that's worth $1,000, I would assume that the one that is $10,000 is actually a higher quality, just because I'm basing it off of that pricing. So that's just important to consider there, because of putting low prices might actually be hurting your product sales because people are assuming that your products are of a lower quality. So it's really, we need to value our products and services so that customers value those products and services too. So I just wanted to point this out here, that we really need to start, it starts with us, and then that feeds down to the customers. So just consider that the pricing is important for the way you market your products. Something else that I wanted to bring up in this session about mindset is under and overpricing. So this is something that people tend to worry about, because just finding the right price and balancing it to make sure that it's, you make the right sales, but you're also getting in the best profit you can. Ideally, you want to be, surfing that wave of the most profit with the least amount of sales needed to get there. So I wanted to bring in an example to illustrate the difference between low prices and high prices and what that means for your actual workload as an herbal business owner. So let's just say we've got this goal of bringing in $2,000 of profit per month. And I just wanted to be clear around this figure here is the gross profit. So this is like your profit after the costs of the product. So it's not the sales that come in, it's the what you actually make off of that product, but what the business makes. So your actual take-home salary is going to be less than this because you have to pay taxes and overhead costs and things like that. But I'll show you what I mean when we get into the example. So if we've got like a low pricing, let's say that there's a certain product that costs you $20 to make. So maybe it's a tincture or something that has alcohol that's quite expensive, and then there's the label, the bottle, the shipping. It costs you $20 to make it and get it to the person, including your time as well for making the product. And so you decide to price that product to sell it for $30, which means that you would be making $10 for each product that is sold. In that case, if you're making $10 for each product, to reach that $2,000 per month, you would be needing to make 200 sales per month. So you would need 200 people to come and purchase that product from you to reach that gross profit goal of $2,000 per month. Now, in contrast, we have pricing high. And so we've got that same product. It still costs $20 to make. But instead, we're going to price it at $60. So this is double the other price. And which brings the product profit up to $40 for each one that you make. So it still costs $20, but you're asking $60 from the customer, which means you only need to make 50 sales per month to reach that $2,000 per month. Now, this is where you need to start working out that balance of up and down, what's easiest, because obviously it's harder to find someone to pay $60 than it is to pay $30. But you only need to find 50 of those people versus 200 of those people at that earlier price point. And so there might be a happy medium point in the middle somewhere, or like maybe that high price is the right one, but you would need to experiment a little bit to work out what that point is, what people are willing to pay for your product. And because it's important, because it's easier to reach less people because you need to make less products and reaching less people. You just need to communicate the value of the product to get them to pay more, which is the key of this session, really. So there's a couple of questions. Is how will you reach those 50 or 200 customers? So if you mainly sell products at markets, for example, if you need to make 50 to 200 sales, you would need to come into contact with maybe like 500 to 1,000 people, because of those people, not everyone is going to buy your products, just some of them are. That's where the conversion rate comes in as well. And like just thinking about that, how many people need to see those products to make those sales? And that's like, these are all just questions to get you thinking. I'm going to get into the calculations and really the practical side of things in later lessons, but I just wanted to put this out there. And this is interesting as well, because we've got the product price doubles, but you only need to find a quarter of the people to sell, because of the actual profit is 4 times as much in this case. And so that makes it a lot easier to actually reach your gross profit goal. So I really, really do want to accentuate that low prices do not necessarily equal more sales. And so that's again back to that jewelry example, like, or anything. When you think about any brands, beauty brands, even when you're at the supermarket, you don't necessarily know the brands that you see in the aisles, but the ones that are priced more highly, you assume are better quality. And so just consider that when you're pricing your products as well, that you really need to value them, because people might not buy your products because they're too low, and you might actually have to chase the people to make those sales and make that sale to make the profit. And a positive side of all of this is really that if you choose that higher pricing, there are the benefits are twofold. Like, one, you have to make less products and sell less products, which means there's more time to market. So it is a difficult path to follow in that you really need to master the marketing, but it means that you're going to be doing less and have a more sustainable business in the long run, because you can focus on creating quality products that are better and just serving those people who are really willing to pay for the quality that you give them. And so you are, spending less time making and selling, but you just need to get your marketing down. So in general, you're expending less energy, but getting a bigger return when you opt towards that higher pricing end of the scale. And so really the most important thing here is to increase the perceived value, which is the most important factor for increasing profit margin. And so the perceived value is really what the customer sees your product as being. So this is like how much they value your product. And so we're going to go into a little bit around how to increase the customer's perception of what your product or service is worth. There's like several ways that you can do this. Like, how can you actually communicate that value to people? So firstly, it's through branding. When you have, that clear brand that people can see who you're about, what you're about, and really they can identify with your brand's message, they are more likely to assume that it's professional and want to spend more money basically for what you're offering. And this comes down to labeling as well. Like, if you have, two products that are exactly the same inside and you have a beautiful label and a very plain label, that beautiful label communicates a higher value. Social proof, or this is like recognition. So this is around like, maybe someone has recommended your products word of mouth, or maybe you have testimonials, maybe you have like other ways of showing, like in social media, for example, if you show your testimonials and people saying good things about your products or using your products, this can be a really good way to show how much your products are worth and demonstrate to others how other people like them, so they should too. Another thing is the benefits showcase. So this is around like really focusing on what the benefits of your product are versus what the features are. So an example of this is maybe if you have a certain face cream, the marketing point isn't necessarily what you have inside the cream or ointment or whatever it is that you've made. The marketing point is really how that cream is going to affect the person and how it's going to benefit them. They don't necessarily mind so much what's in it. Like they're going to check the ingredients list and that sort of stuff, especially if they're caring about organic and natural ingredients. But what they care about is what they are going to get out of using your product. And so that's really what the most important thing to showcase there is in your communication and marketing. And then your quality. So like, hopefully people can actually use your product and realize that it's a higher quality than a different product. And that's so important to consider. And so, just actually having that quality to back up your messaging. Then the place or location. This is a really important point because of where you actually sell your products can change how much it's worth, which is a really bizarre concept. But if you imagine your products being stocked in a high-end shopping mall versus in like the equivalent of Walmart, the prices there are going to be different just because of where it's placed. It is associated with a different pricing, and the people that attend those places are going to be different. And so this goes the same with like in-person markets, for example. You might have certain markets that attract a different demographic to other markets, and it might actually be okay for you to charge different prices at different markets. If there's going to be different people there and a certain demographic is going to be able to pay more, you may be able to charge differently according to where you are. Customer service. So these are just a way to really look after your customers and show that they are important to you. And that changes the value of the product for them as well. And this goes for whether you sell online, in person, whatever it is, but just having that clear and personal relationship with customers helps to increase that value. And finally, price. As I've mentioned several times throughout this session, your actual prices on the product change the perception of the value for the customer. So just really consider this. Like, don't price low just because you think you're going to get more sales. It's better to charge higher. And if you don't make sales, it doesn't matter. You're not making the product, so that you can also always do a sale later to clear stock. But it's worth trying that higher price and seeing how it goes. So really what the takeaway message of this is that the most important thing is to focus on communicating the value of your products to potential customers. If you can convince them that your products are worth a certain amount, you can charge higher prices, which means that you don't need to sell as many products to reach your income goals. And ultimately, you're going to have an easier business to run and have more time available to focus on, running the business and doing the stuff that you like, the actual making the products, the gardening, the helping people. Maybe it's the consultations. You can offer more time to people. But yeah, the communicating the value of what you do is the most important thing. So a couple of action steps to take away from today's session is, like, step 1 is commit to running your business as a business. If you want it to run it as a hobby, that's fine. But it's totally fine, but just recognize that it's not a business and you're doing it as a hobby. If you do want to run your herbal business as a business, then stick with me. We're going to follow the process to create the strategic pricing for your herbal products and services. And we're going to go through spreadsheets and calculations and really how to keep track of everything so that you can do that in the following lessons. So let's do this.